Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Thursday, July the 3rd. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to open low with ASX futures off by around 0.1%. A gauge of global stocks rose to a record high overnight after weak US jobs data boosted rate cut hopes. While on Wall Street, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq also closing at new records, with investors buoyed by a trade agreement between the US and Vietnam. Tech stocks led the gains, with Nvidia, Apple and Tesla doing the heavy lifting. Tesla shares rebounded, even as the EV maker posted a big drop in second quarter deliveries, but was seen as better than expected, the stock having shed around 20% this year. Chipmaker Intel shares fell heavily on reports that its new chief executive is exploring a big change to its contract manufacturing business to win major customers. The big banks hit new record highs, with Morgan Stanley launching a $20 billion buyback, while others benefited from a hike in their dividends. Shares of the major apparel and sportswear makers rose after President Trump announced a new trade deal with Vietnam, where much of the manufacturing takes place. And Centene shares plummeted to the lowest level in 8 years after the health insurer said it had withdrawn its 2025 earnings forecast after data showed a significant drop in expected revenue. And Corona beer maker Constellation Brands shares, they initially slipped after reporting first quarter net sales and a profit miss. The copper miners, they gained along with the price of the red metal, with US listed shares of BHP and Rio advancing. Well, the United States will place a lower than promised 20% tariff on many Vietnamese exports. This, Donald Trump said on Wednesday, cooling tensions with its 10th biggest trading partner days before the US president could raise levies on most imports. President Trump wants to use tariffs to pay for his massive tax cut bill. Republicans in the House of Representatives struggled to pass the legislation as a handful of hardliners withheld their support over concerns about its costs. Well, in US data, private sector employment fell for the first time in more than 2 years in June as economic uncertainty hampered hiring. They fell by 33,000, whereas economists had forecast them rising by around 100,000. US Treasury yields rose slightly, with the 2-year up to 3.79%, while the 10-year was at 4.29%. And in the UK, British government bonds tumbled sharply after Chancellor Rachel Reeves backed down on welfare reforms, which reignited concerns over Britain's finances. The yield on the British 10-year government bond rose as much as 22 basis points on the day to 4.68%. The US dollar rose against most major currencies as the jobs data supported market expectations of a Fed rate cut. The British pound weakened by almost 1%, and the Aussie dollar is trading at 65.9 US cents. And Bitcoin, that surged overnight to above 109,000 US dollars. Oil prices jumped higher as Iran suspended cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog, but a surprise build in US crude supplies limited price gains. Brent crude settling about 3% higher at $69 a barrel. Copper was up 2.5%, iron ore was up around 2% to $95 a tonne, and gold firmed on rate cut hopes, spot gold at $3,357 an ounce. Locally today, we get international trade data for May. And that is your day ahead. We'll see you again tomorrow.